Big Brother Bear here to be all that you want and what you need. Today I'm going to give you some easy steps on how to play Division 1. I shouldn't say easy, I should say simple. Definitely not easy, but how to play Division 1. Now some of you may know that I'm not a big fan of Division 1. I'm a bigger fan of you picking the school that's best fit for you. Whether that's NAIA, Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, junior college, prep school, whatever that is, what's the best fit for you? Maybe it's easy for me to say that now, having been in junior college and having been in Division 2 and got it both paid for. Now I look at it like, oh, what is it? Pick the best thing for you. But when I was 18 years old, when I was 17 years old, I was just like you. I was Division 1 or nothing at all. I wanted to go to Kentucky. I came to realize that I wasn't good enough to play at Kentucky. But if you're still fixated on Division 1 basketball, I have 5 tips that's going to help you. First tip I'm going to give you is ask yourself, do you pass the eye test? If someone were to walk in the gym where you had the jersey on, your shorts on, you got the ball in your hand, they're looking at you, would they say that you're a Division 1 athlete? Without even dribbling, would they be able to say that? And I say that because a lot of playing Division 1 basketball is someone judging your potential. Division 1 athletes normally fall into these categories. They have size, skill, talent, and speed. And then you couple that with grades, of course. But those are the 4 things that separate Division 1 athletes from all others, those things. Now, some of those things you can control. Things like size and skill. So the question is, do you have the skill set to be able to play at the next level right now? Do you have the skill set? You want to play Division 1, do you have the skill set to play with Division 1 athletes? Okay? You need to be exhausting whatever thing you need to do to get to that point, okay? Number 1. But size, you can control that as well. Now, you can't control whether you're 6 foot or 7 foot. You can't control that as far as size, but as far as muscle, you can control that. A lot of times, coaches are going to be looking at you from the lens of, is this person going to be durable enough to go through the grueling season of college? Because it's not the same thing as far as high school, especially when you're talking about getting on chartered flights and flying across the country to different tournaments, especially when you're talking about the more games you're going to be playing and Christmas classics and Thanksgiving classics and time away from family and homesickness and all that stuff. Is this person durable enough to go through that? That's going to be a question that individuals are going to be asking themselves, especially if they're going to be putting resources your way as far as money and scholarship and whatnot. So physically, can you take that? Can you take that beating? What I would say is early on, 9th grade, you need to adopt a weightlifting regimen and stay on it the entire time that you're in high school, the entire time, right? You should almost be on the same weight regimen as a football player. I can remember going through high school where, football players, they were so good at my school that they had a longer season than other football teams because they continued to win. And I can remember when they came out for the basketball team, the ones that wanted to play basketball, they would pretty much punk all of us on the basketball court because they were so much more physical than us because they spent time in the weight room, right? It makes a difference. It makes a difference for you to go ahead and adopt that physicality and get in the weight room and push past your limits. So when people look at you, they can say, okay, this person, they'll be able to, he or she will be able to last with us in college. Whether they have the skill set is there quite yet or not, their size lets me know that they'll have a chance. Another classic point is Steph Curry. Steph Curry played at Davidson, which is a small Division 1 school. No one else was offering him positions, no one else. He wanted to go to Virginia Tech, the same school that his father went to, Dale Curry, but I think they only wanted him to walk on. They didn't believe in him enough to even sow any resources or scholarships his way. So he ended up going to Davidson. And the reason they went to Davidson is because he's 6'3", 160 pounds, dripping wet. Yes, he can shoot the ball, but do you know how many other 6'3" people at that level can shoot the ball? A lot of them. They come a dime a dozen. I can name a number of student athletes that at Division 1 level, Division 2 level, and Division 3 level that fit that between 6'3" to 6'5", they can shoot the stuffing out the ball. So Steph wasn't special in that regard. He was 6'3", 6'4". His doggone jersey looked like he was hanging it on a doggone clothes hanger, right? Like he wasn't physically domineering at all. If you would have took that same person and added some muscle to him, it would have been a different story, Added muscle, it would have been a different story. So understand that people are going to be assessing if you are Division 1 just by looking at you a lot of times. just by looking at you. So control the controllables, right? You can control your size as far as how big you get, how muscular you get in the weight room, and your skill set. Those things are, you can exhaust those things and actually become better in both of those areas. But if you're not going to be intentional about being good in those areas, you're going to get looked over, period. Number two, I would say, I just don't know what Division I level means for you, because some of you just want to have the label to say, I have the label of Division I. Are we talking about actually playing and contributing and starting and things like that? That's a whole different topic. But some of you just want the label to just have the bragging rights and say Division I. So if that's the case, then grades it's a foundational piece that you need, okay? Because there are so many people that had to go junior college because of just grades alone. They just couldn't. They had to go junior college just because of grades alone. I played against a lot of these guys. I played against a lot of Division I athletes that never quite made it to Division I. Number three, going back to academics. I know we already talked about grades, but going back to academics is you need to become an avid reader, and you need to learn how you study. You have to figure out how you study. You know, I didn't read my first book until my junior year in college. I didn't have a healthy diet of reading, and it cost me. I had to read things over and over again to actually retain what the information was trying to tell me. I had to study a lot longer. I didn't know anything about studying either. So that's another thing. Like, when you figure out how you study, you can become more efficient in classroom settings. You can cut a lot of time out of rereading things because you're well versed and you can read things and you can retain information. I think this is one of the things that are the most underrated with student athletes, is how much time that it actually takes you to retain information, whether it be plays or whether it be action in the classroom setting. But if you can come up with a diet of that early on, your 9th grade year, high school, of reading what, a book a month, or at least a book every 2 months, just trying to get into it. If you didn't come from a background of literacy, I think it's going to help you out tremendously, especially when you're talking about going to Division I. Because listen, the Division I schools y'all are talking about, right? When you're talking about these big state schools, when you're talking about UNC or North Carolina State, or you're talking about UCLA, you're talking about Michigan State, these doggone classes are auditoriums. You're not going to any classes with like 15 students. This is not high school. You're going to these doggone classes, it may be 100, 200, 300 students in that classroom, right? You may have a classroom that's the size of 50 or 75, but in large, you're going to doggone auditoriums full of people, okay? So you're not going to be able to just talk to your professor much like you did in high school. It's not going to be a situation where you just stay after class and talk to your professor all the time. Like, you and 50 other people are going to want to do the same thing. So the quicker that you can retain some information, read it, and know what they're talking about, and not have to go over and over again, you're going to save a lot of time. You're going to save a lot of time and a lot of frustration trying to figure all that stuff out yourself. So save yourself the time now. If you're in 9th grade, if you're in 8th grade, if you're in high school, start to build up that reading ability. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like I'm trying to talk to you like you're in elementary school, and I'm not. Because me, you know, a person that failed the 6th grade, a person that failed the 8th grade, you know, socially promoted, was in special education classes. I was not the pick to go to college at all, right? I wasn't picked to graduate high school, but with basketball, I used it as a vehicle to get me there. But once I got there, because I wasn't an avid reader, and because I didn't know how I had to, because I wasn't an avid reader, and because I didn't know how to study, it took me so much longer to get where I was at to where I needed to go. I eventually got there, but it took me so much longer. So I would adopt that as well. 4, I would say I would join AAU. I would join AAU. I didn't join AAU, but I listen. It's not a coincidence. The most of the top players that you see going to these major Division I schools are products of AAU. If I was going through it again, I would find out which are the top 3 in the states, AAU programs, period. And I would play on those teams. Some of you may say, well, Bill, I'm not good enough to play on this team. That's fine. I would still go there, try out, and tell them, look, I may not be good enough to play, but can I just practice with you guys? Can I travel? Can I be a practice player? Can I help the team? even if that meant being a manager and I just practiced. I never got on the floor in front of the tournaments, the bright lights. I never did that. Let me tell you what's going to happen when you do that. Number one, you get to play against Division I talent on a regular basis. And when you do that, you're going to inherently get better. Just through just being around them, you're going to get better. You need to have it in your mind that at an early age that you want to be the worst player in the gym starting out. Your 9th grade, 8th grade year, you want to be the worst player in the gym. You always want to play up. You always want to play against people that are bigger than you, stronger than you, that are faster than you, they can shoot better than you, they can rebound better than you. And you just want to give it your all and see if you can compete. And year by year, you'll get better, and you'll eventually surpass them. So by the time you get into college, you'll be so much better prepared to play at a higher level than those individuals that just went with whoever was in their neighborhood. Because a lot of times, you can gas yourself up into believing, and a lot of you know people like this. Either you were like this or you know some people like this. And if some coaches that are watching this, you know this to be true. A lot of student athletes gas themselves up into believing that they're a lot better than they are because they're playing against a bunch of scrubs. They're playing against a bunch of people that are building up their ego because they're just manhandling these individuals. So you build up your ego and just think you're good, right? Until you go to someone else's neighborhood, until you go into someone else's school that's bigger, until you go to a bigger city, and then you realize I'm not as good as I thought I was, right? So to help you with that, AAU basketball is not the end-all be-all, but man, it helps. It helps because you get to go around the country and play in some of these big tournaments. And like I say, even if you don't play in these tournaments, I assure you, if you're at one of the top 3 AAU programs in your state, those guys in large they're going to have Division I opportunities. They're going to have it. And I know you may be thinking, well, I want to get out there and play. And I want you to get out there and play as well. But sometimes you just are not ready just yet. All right? If you are, that's great. But if you're not, being a practice player has a lot of value. Don't be so stuck on your ego of man, I don't get no playing time. Forget that, right? 9th grade, 10th grade, no playing time. 11th grade, no playing time. But you bust your behind in practice against these guys that are going Division I that are already getting letters, and you'll surprise yourself that 12th grade year. Another thing you can do is you're networking with individuals that are Division I athletes or going to be Division I athlete, and you're going to be able to see some of these doggone coaches as well, and they're going to see you as well. So it's a win-win situation. And my last tip I would say, number 5, I would say, is I would let my coach know early on, this is my goal, coach. This is my goal. I want to be a Division I athlete. I would let him know that early on, 8th grade, 7th grade, 9th grade year. And I would say, now I want you to hold me to a standard as a Division I athlete, right? That means I'm trying to be the best at any drill. And anytime he sees me slacking, I want him to be like, Bill, you told me this is what you want to do. You want to be at this level. I want to let people know that this is what I want to do, right? So I think that'll help you out immensely if you just go ahead and adopt that mindset. I shouldn't have titled it easy, but it is simple, right? And it's a lot simpler. But again, I didn't play Division I basketball. I played at a junior college in Utah. I played at a Division II school in Arkansas. I got it paid for. Very fortunate. Love my experience. But I played against a lot of Division I athletes. I played against a lot of Division I athletes in high school and in college. And I'm still telling you that you should be more worried about finding the best fit for you, no matter what level that is. Find the best fit for you, and you'll be the happiest. If that's Division I, great. But if it's not Division I, great, right? I have no regrets about my career. I enjoyed every second of it, and I'm debt free in large because of it. So, and even if let me back it up, because I don't like to say that, because you can play on a team and have to pay for school and still have a ball as well. So I don't want it to be all contingent upon a scholarship, because sometimes that's just the right place, right time, right situation, right system, right coach, and that makes that work. So don't even be so contingent on a scholarship. Like, we want that scholarship money because, listen, if it's free, it's for me. I love free money now, but at the same time, I understand that everyone won't be in that position. But I just don't want you to get so hell bent on this whole Division I thing. It's good, it's great. I'm happy for those that do it, but understand that it's not for everybody, and that's fine. And let me tell you this as well, before I let you go. Some of you think that Division I is like one level, right? Like everybody else is below Division I. But let me tell you a secret. I've said this in other videos as well. Division 1 is here, okay? Then there's Major Division 1. So Major Division 1 is like where you saw with Zion Williamson at Duke, right? That's Major Division 1. Those guys are in a whole different bracket. If you are up there, then you're not even watching this video, okay? But Division 1, like there's like minor Division 1 leagues, and there's like a mid-major, okay? Some of those mid-majors, you can switch it interchangeably with a Division 2 school and wouldn't know the difference. How do I know that? Because I played against these guys, and we beat some of these guys at my Division 2 school that I went to. So don't get so caught up in this whole Division 1 thing. It's like fool's gold, okay? It's not all. Listen, there's some Division 1 schools that have great crowds, great resources, great facilities, great tutors that can help you. Then there's some Division 1 schools that their crowds are super small, and there's Division 2 schools and Division 3 schools that get better crowds than they get. Some Division 2 schools, some Division 3 schools have better facilities than they have. These are facts. These are don't think. Some of you are just thinking D1 TV, D1 glamour, like D1 tons of gear. That's not the case with every situation. So you need to be aware of that. So I hope this was helpful for you. Easy things, simple, not easy, simple things you can adopt, and simple things you can do to help you as far as going Division 1. You got to start early though, 8th grade, 9th grade year, even 10th grade year, and I tell you that it's going to make all the difference when you do that. So whether it's on the court or off, in the classroom, out, graduate at the top of your class. Hoop loud.
Loud